Colorado tomorrow.
That is true. Yes, I will be. I go to work, and then if I, depending on how effective I am after we get done recording this and loading up the RV, I point my east, and off we go. When do you head out?
I have a aggressive schedule. So I'm leaving my house at 6 a.m. on uh on Saturday, and I land in Denver at 9:45, and then I'm driving to the track. I'm going to stay up all 24 hours and judge the race. And then I'm going to go back to the hotel room after the race, take a shower, get on a plane, and fly back home. So I am going full send.
Oh, I've done that. Last year at the 24, I left work Thursday, drove there, ended up staying up all day Friday because I got there Friday morning. Got a little bit of sleep, and then raced for the 24, and then immediately after the race drove 12 hours home to hop in the shower and go to work. I can only
Why do
do
we
that so many times a year.
why do we do this to ourselves?
I do not know. I'm taking Monday off as well, so I will drive all night to get home and then like just not be in a hurry about it. So, all right. So High Plains Raceway, have you ever been there?
Never been. Never
All right.
been.
So, just to give our listeners some idea of what we're doing here. All right, I gotta click on the right thing. Hopefully, this is what comes up. So, are you seeing it? Yeah, there it is. There's the
Yep.
satellite map of the raceway right there. And so, to give everyone an idea of where this is at, because a lot of racetracks are out in the middle of nowhere, I'm now going to scroll outwards. Just keep going there, and just stop me when you see a city or something that looks like civilization.
Is that France?
No. That is Denver, Colorado. So,
Wow.
yes. If you've never gotten there, you're going to leave Denver. You're going to drive out on 70, and you're actually, even though it's in Deer Trail, Colorado, you are going to get off the exit at Byers, Colorado, and then you are going to take a slight turn north and eventually head east for 20 miles. So you start in the middle of nowhere and then you drive out. So I maintain this is the most remote track that Lemons visits. It is more remote than Hallett, CMP. Even it's even more remote than Buttonwillow. So there's this now. Facilities. You've got the paddock, and the grid is located behind the wall. It's on the inside of turn one. All of that. You actually, as you pull off the road, you drive around the outside of the track, and the grid is on the back side of that over there. The bathrooms. There are semi-permanent porta potties throughout the John. Then they'll also have some porta potties. Then they have two shower trailers. Here's the thing. So all the water at that track has to be trucked in. So they're going to ask you to be a little conservative with their water, and you really should be. They've got showers. They're not the worst. They're not the best, but just doing that one. They do have a really good snack bar there, and it will stay open, or at least it did last year for the 24-hour race. And I highly recommend their burritos. They're like made as you order them, and it's legit. So it's good food. Nearby, there is nothing. It is 18 miles to the nearest town that has one Mexican restaurant, which is great. The Los Tres Garcias in Byers. It's got a general store, which has these really good breakfast biscuits, and it's got a Sinclair gas station. That is it. That's Byers, Colorado, man. So your
Wow.
nearest Walmart is in Aurora, and I think that's about 50 miles away. Now, for the weekend, we can expect rain Friday night, but it's going to be 80s during the day and then 60s at night on that one. So if I can get this to work properly, we're going to go through and see if we can't do a little bit of turn by turn. Now, I have driven this track more than once, and I was actually living in Colorado when they started to build it.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
yeah, it was and what's great. So First off, the staff here absolutely loves lemons, and the guy that manages the track loves it. And we're once again, Lemons is doing 2 races this year because they really do go out of their way. It's a good staff full of folks. Your paddock, there's a lot of paved areas, and then there's a lot of not as paved areas, but usually the whole grid fits in there. So you'll go there. And if you're following along the track, the way to get on the track is a little bit backwards. There's a bit of a crossover. And let me see if I can get this to work. There it is. Nope, I just get the 1+ on this one. So you actually have to drive through the paddock towards the edge of the track, take a right turn, and then that's going to bring you around a set of bleachers that are right there. And pit road enters on the outside or the inside of turn, well, outside of turn one. And then it will you will get onto the track just before turn two. Now, turn two, or halfway through turn two. Turn two there's plenty of sight lines on this one, but it's like a nice almost 180, probably about a 160, 140 degree, or it's telling me right here, 150 degree radius, constant speed. There's some pavement differences in there. And depending on what the weather's doing, you might have to search a little bit for grip, but always look to the outside as you're coming into two for turns that are coming on. There is a blend line, but I don't know how aggressive they are going to be at calling that, because the interesting thing about High Plains Raceway is at night, the flaggers all become automatic. They've just got the electronic signs in the flag stations, and there's a closed circuit television. And that's how Glenn or whoever's running track operations is watching everything up there. So it's a short straightaway, and then it's a quick 90, and then not quite a 90 again for turn three. Your first flag station that you're going to see if you enter onto the paddock is going to be on the outside to your left. It's very, very visible. It's good sight lines. Done quick and fast, this is really one turn.
So
But
40,
if you're in a slower car or like a Class C car, it really does become 2 turns.
yeah.
And
It's a 45. I think that 90 is the feet of the radius.
yeah, that even makes even more sense.
Yeah.
All right. So
It,
you're coming into this, and then that brings you to a 2,300-foot downhill straightaway, and it's wide. So you can don't make a habit out of this, but if you need to get around someone, you can safely go 3 wide all the way down. And that will bring you all the way in. Now there's a turnoff, but you're not going to be doing that. It goes to the right. Build up to this one slowly, but it is on camber, and it's not as tight as you think it is. And sometimes just a downshift and a chuck in, if you've got some heat in the tires and it's not wet, you could throw it in there. If it is wet, bets are off on that one, because it depends on where the water is starting to pool. And then as you come into turn four, it is a slight uphill. So that'll also scrub off a little speed. This is a good place to make a pass, because you've got 2,800 feet to set it up as you're coming into it. You will then crest a hill after about a 350-foot straightaway before you make a left-hand 90-degree turn that goes down the hill. A lot of people overslow for it just because they can't see. So be aware of that, and be aware that there might be some traffic over that hill that goes down that is coming down. So don't go charging into it blind. Build that situational awareness of what is going to be over that hill as you are coming down this 2,800-foot straightaway. At this point, you've crested the hill. You are no longer visible by anything, because this goes down into a valley, and it is probably a good 1-2 story drop down to the bottom after you make the turn five. Good place if you've got a lot of power or a lot of momentum. You can get around some slower cars, and usually they're pretty good about seeing you, but you are absolutely going to want to be on the outside for turn six. And as you're entering into turn six, it is mostly a 180, but it's shaped a little odd. So don't fall for the shape of the pavement. Start on the outside, make your one steering input all the way around that corner. And as it straightens out, you should be on the outside gators unwinding that. And that's under perfect conditions. It will get crowded down there, but you're going to want to build up a lot of speed, because now you're starting to, it's a slight 750-foot like straightaway right there. Good to get some passes if you got some oomph. And then it's a smooth flow right not quite on camber. It's just ever so slightly off until you get to the top of it. And then it's back to being on camber where you'll crest a hill again that brings you into eight. But these are some good places. And once you've got a feel for that one, you can really, really get some grip as you're coming up. Now, the top of turn eight, the tower is a bit hard to see as you're entering. So just as you get to the top of turn eight, you really want to start craning and looking to see here what that flag is waving, because any trouble on the other side over here, and there sometimes is, this is where the Dodge truck fell on its side a couple of years ago. You're not going to be able to see it until you come hauling into it. This is a flat, very slow corner. And if there's any sort of moisture on the ground, it really, really gets slick. So take your time, be patient, get all the way through the corner, and the flag station is there on your left. And then you want to make sure that you've got a good launch coming out of that, because it is back downhill into 9A and 9B, which is just a quick jog right, a quick jog left. As you are getting into 10, it's deceptive because you're going downhill. You're going to pick up a lot of speed, and turn 10 is slightly off camber, and it will get dirty very quickly. Just the way everything washes out down there, because now you're back in the valley and you're behind the hill on the other side of the paddock. And it's a straightaway into 11. People get very stubborn going into 11 because as they exit 11, you're going up turn 12, which they even call ladder to heaven. So they are really adamant about their track position, because slightly out of position, it absolutely ruins your exit out of 11 and into 12. So just be prepared to be a little stubborn. You may have to pass on the outside. It's a good turn if you've got some power. If not, you're just going to want to protect your momentum and do the outside, inside, outside as you're coming up. But check all your mirrors as you are charging up turn 12. You get to the top of the hill and you can see 13. It's a short straightaway. You're at the top of the ridge line. You're looking actually down a little bit into the paddock onto the rest of the track. And 13 is a little more deceptive. If you remember a couple of years ago when Chris and Chrissy were judging this race on the Outlap, their podcast host took a Miata right into the mud, didn't even finish one lap. This is where I went off right there. Just, it is a almost 90-degree left-hander, but it is downhill and you are losing traction as soon as you start making that turn. So be smooth and not only pay attention to what your car is doing, but expect other cars to slide or to take up more space than they should. It's a very short dodge into 14, which is right, and then back onto a left, which brings you onto the main straightaway. They call that one the corkscrew. It's labeled here on this map as Prairie Corkscrew. And then it is an uphill run down the straightaway. Now, as you are exiting 15, the entrance into the pits is right there on your left. Obviously, you signal as you're coming into 14, let people know, and you'll figure out the pattern in that one. And it's a good deceleration lane, but it is a pretty long pit lane. So make sure you're adhering to the speed limits. And if you've got an emergency, sometimes they'll let you kind of escape out of that, but usually you're going to have to limp it all the way back up. And penalty is going to be located here. So you have to run the entire length of the hot pits, turn left and then left again. And everything backed up to pit wall is RV parking and then the carport. So this gets very, very crowded with pedestrians and bicycles and skateboards and people doing performance art. And you're going down by the snack bar. And this brown building here, Tim, is where you will be. It is the covered paddock. The snack bar is a trailer that is backed up underneath it right there. And it is also where Lemon's HQ will be. And then this is the race control building. And it's a good place to see if your car's coming in on the hook or anything like that. The main straightaway, very wide, good place. If you need to get out of position and pass a bunch of people, go right ahead. Just make sure that you are prepared for turn one, which, as mentioned, just slightly under maybe a 75, 80-degree turn to the left. It's flat, so it's not off camber, it's not on camber. And it gives you a good opportunity to check to see who is coming down pit lane before you set up into turn two. I'm not as good as Chris at these things, but I feel like that was a decent overview.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Okay. And
Everything I've read before and I've watched a few videos just trying to get myself familiar with the track, and everybody that that I've talked to and or I've listened to, I should say, they all talk about turn 10 being like that's the biter on the
Yes.
track
Because
because it is
you pick up
unloaded.
momentum so much faster than you think you could. It's usually dirty and it's slightly off camber, and it will get you in trouble. I've charged down that hill so many times and seen a dust storm at the bottom of it, knowing that somebody just overshot it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so again, bear in mind, so at night, the flag stations, they're not manned. So they have the giant uh screens. So black flag actually kind of looks like a white flag because they can't flash black on there. And at the end of the main straightaway, they've got one of those traffic signs, and it will have your number on there. And whoever is running race control, I believe it is Pagel, will, and they will begin to count how many times you ignore that sign, and then they will put it on the sign to the great amusement of the rest of us. So always check that sign to make sure that it's not you, home slice, coming in there. And then they'll get on the PA and start telling, hey, car so and so, your guys ignored us now for about 20 minutes. You might want to make a phone call or, get them on the radio, see what's up, bring them into the pits. Um, if you've got, and they'll go over all this in the driver's meeting. If you've got flashing yellow, that's a full course yellow. If you've got the yellow, and I don't know if they'll be doing it, they have done the 35 where they want everyone just doing 35 because they're doing recovery or they're running around to pick people up or deliver food or things of that nature. Their recovery crew is really good. Um, they don't look it. They look like, oh God, these guys are going to be idiots, but they do this a lot. It's a club level track, and they are quite practiced at recovering cars. Uh, just, if you go off, make sure you call your team. There are one or two places where at night, if you have an electrical failure, the closed circuit cameras don't see you. So the the car will sit there for a while. And a few years ago, they had somebody that actually kind of like got out of their car and walked to the freeway, then walked around to the track and said, hey, so after about an hour, I got out of the car. I know I'm not supposed to, but nobody came and got me.
Poor guy.
And so, yeah. And because you are 20 miles from nowhere, if it is not a moonlit night or if it is cloud, it is dark, just so dark. So if you run a day shift, do the old Ross Bentley trick of pay attention to the perfect lap, know what the bumps feel like, know, what your muscle memory of a turn in is, because they are going to be ruthless about the lights. Bob he wrote the rule book on it last year, and everyone was really, really happy. So no lights above a certain point. It really cut down on the dazzling in the mirrors. It was actually a lot of people were fussing when he was doing the tech inspection on it, but everyone was happy afterwards because nobody was getting blinded by the lights on that one. But you're
Yeah,
going to have to learn to feel the track in addition to seeing it.
there'll be a light tech inspection on Friday night, from I believe it's 8 to 9:30.
Yes.
And there's a certain distance they'll put the car from the wall. I think it's
He
25
will,
feet.
he has it taped out. He has
Yep.
a board. And if your lights go above the mark on that board, you fail. Come try it again.
Yep.
And so I don't think that you're just going to tape over your lights, and then when it gets dark, pull the tape off the lights. They will black flag you like that. So,
I would love to see you on that one. That is absolute dickery.
yes. So let me see if I get this straight. You passed the tech and then you ignored, because there was a couple of teams that had like the high pointed lights on there. And last year he threatened them with, if those lights get turned on, I'm gonna hammer you. And they did not turn those on. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was
don't think for a second I won't show up to the side of your car with a flashlight in your face. 4,000 lumens in your face.
there you go. Yeah,
Why do you think you're here?
one of those you could buy it on TV flashlights. Yeah.
burn, burn paper with it.
All right. And as always, we will have a link to the Trax website and the map that I just talked through in our show notes. So thank you for joining us, all of that one.